All right, so in this video, we're going to do a little tutorial on how to actually use all the features of the Smart Trader application, and then what features I'm going to add on. Eventually, this is kind of the first beta test run. People need a little bit of coding knowledge to get it up and running, which was shown in a previous video, which I'll link here, and it'll also be in the description. From here, though, if you're here now, you should already have all this all set up on your own computer locally with a Mongo database connected to it. So the one thing we need to do before we run the application is we need to change a global variable to match whatever your actual portfolio size is. So if we open up client and we go to the source directory which is src, and then in app.jsx, we have a global variable here called start port value. So start portfolio value, it's set to 1,000,000. You can change this to whatever your actual portfolio size is. And considering it's May 5th right now today, it's a Sunday, we're almost halfway through the year, which is kind of crazy. You may want to set this to what you were at the beginning of the year if you plan to add all of your year-to-date trades into the system, which is what I personally did. From my Excel sheet, I ported it all over into this application because it's just way easier to track everything. So that's the only thing that needs to be changed. We can close that. And then from here, again, like I said in the other video, we're just going to run npm run dev on the client side here on the left. And then over here on the right, I know you won't see the whole thing, but npm run dev, exactly the same. Give it a second. We'll make sure we get this little message that we've successfully connected to MongoDB. And then on a Mac, you can command click or you can copy and paste this. And here we go. We have a fresh, brand new, never used, clean database of the application. And what we can do here, and I'll go over what the dashboard is and everything once we get a few trades put in. So I'm just going to make completely random unknown trades in here just so we can see some statistics and how it works. So add trade is where you want to start. And again, if you're adding year-to-date trades, you might have an Excel spreadsheet. I will be adding functionality to hopefully just be able to upload a Excel spreadsheet of all your trades as long as it's put in the right places. But for now, you do have to do it manually, which takes a little bit. But once it's all in here, it's very simple and very easy to use. So I'm just going to put a few real random trades in here. None of these prices will be correct or anything. But and what we're going to do is we always want to put the date, right, of the trade, whether we buy or sell. And you'll notice here you can't confirm the trade. It won't go to the database. I'm clicking it unless these 6 fields are filled out. These have a little error warning here, but you can still submit without the shaper pattern or the tactical pattern in case that's not part of what you do. You're just using this for investing, not trading. I just like to track why I entered a certain investment or trade. So buy or sell, and then you can type the ticker. Let's just throw SMCI in here, I guess. How many shares you bought? Let's say we bought 100. Let's say we were really smart and we bought it before it took off at like $500. We do need to tell it if we're opening a new trade. And the purpose of this is because for me personally, like I will add and, I'll pyramid into a position and I'll also trim back. So I kind of like trade around a core position usually. And I might completely close out, let's say that entire trade of SMCI. And then 3 months from now, I reinitiate a trade in SMCI. So I need a way to tell the system that this is a brand new SMCI trade. So let's say this is the very first time we're buying SMCI. So we'll say, yes, we're opening a trade. There's a whole bunch of different patterns you can choose here. If you know how to code, you could change these in the code. But this covers quite a few. We've got cup with handle, cup no handle. This is the Mark Minervini volatility contraction pattern or VCP pattern. A coil, flat base, high type flag. There's a bunch here. And then I also have reasons for selling, de-risking. Maybe my initial stop was hit, which happens a lot. Locking in profit, selling into strength, and on and on. I also have this carryover here, which I use a lot because I still usually hold stocks going into a new year, but I need to reset the cost basis so I can get my year-to-date performance. So carryover does that. So let's say the first day of the trading day of the year, this year I think was the 2nd or the 3rd. So I hold like 4 positions and I tell it that I'm carrying it over because I'm not putting in, it's not a new trade. So I need to know that it's just coming over from the year before. And then same with tactical patterns. You can there's a whole bunch of reasons why you're buying or selling in here. Let's pretend we don't put any of them. We'll confirm the trade and it will automatically pop into our trade ledger here. You can think of the trade ledger as your very raw transaction history. This should match directly to whatever trading platform you use. So whether you're using something like a TradeStation or um, Wells Fargo, I don't know, wherever, Robinhood, maybe E-Trade, whatever you're using, these should match identical. And this is a place where, like, if every week or every month, however you want to audit and make sure that you're tracking things properly, that would be done here. We can also edit the trade. Let's say we just entered something incorrectly. We actually paid, 550, I don't know. And we're like, oh yeah, wait, we forgot to put in, this was actually a Minervini VCP pattern. Great, we update the trade and that all gets filled in here. I'm going to put couple more trades in just so we can see the power of this entire application. Again, just making up a few things. Let's say we added to SMCI. So I'll show you how that would work. So let's say we're buying more SMCI. We bought another 50 shares and we paid, I don't know, $700 for it. We did not open a new trade, so we just leave that as no. Maybe it created a flat base and it just broke out of that flat base, the pattern breakout, confirmed the trade. And I'll show you the color coding system in a second. But basically, you get a bright green when you initiate a brand new trade. You get a light green when you add to a currently open trade. You get a dark red when you completely close out a trade, and you get a light red when you're trimming back. And I like this because, like, I have like 140 transactions year to date so far. I can very easily scroll through because these are all sorted by date and see, like, if there's a pack of light red or a lot of green, and see, like, should I have been putting on a lot of exposure at this point in time? I can look at what the NASDAQ did or what was happening with the S&P or interest rates or whatever. It's just an easy snapshot for me to see, like, at this period in time, is there a lot of red or a lot of green? And does that align with where my risk tolerance should have been given what was going on in the overall market and the trading environment? So let's do this. Let's sell a little bit of SMCI here. I'll show you what that looks like. So SMCI, let's say we sold that 50 shares. Let's say we sold it at 600. We are not closing the trade. We're just trimming. And we're just trying to de-risk, confirm trade. You can see that light red here. And then we'll go ahead and just show what closing the entire trade looks like. So we'll add a trade and we'll say on Friday, we decided to be out of the whole trade. Sold that last 100 shares, and I don't know, we sold it at 650. We are closing the trade completely, and now you can see that dark red. So you can see how over time, like, this color coding system, this is how I've always looked at it. If it's too much, again, if you know how to code, you can change it. It's pretty simple. On the final version of this application, where users will just log in and not have to know how to code, this will be much easier to all just have it customizable for the user. But for now, I think it's actually a really good way, once you have a bunch of transactions in here, to see how well you're ebbing and flowing with the risk environments of the market. So that's there. Again, I showed you how to edit. We can always delete a trade and it'll just pop away. Let me add one more trade, and let's just say we still own, like, Eli Lilly, which I think that's right around, let's just call it 690. Oops. Let's say the amount of shares we bought was 200 and it was trading at 690. New trade. We bought a cup no handle out of a kicker pattern. Confirm. And see, it'll automatically sort everything for you. The really nice thing about this application is you literally put the trade in once. You may need to edit it if you made a mistake or delete something, but once it's in there, everything else absolutely flows through from a statistics standpoint, which is really cool. So if we look at our current portfolio, the only position we have currently open is Eli Lilly. We know when we bought it. We know the what we paid for it. We know the current price. So this is pulled using Yahoo Finance API. Today's a Sunday, so this is Friday's close, but this is, it's delayed 15 minutes, I think. But basically, pretty much your live number for what you would need. All your statistics are here. And now we looked at the ledger here, and then let's just take a look at statistics. So this will show all of your trades. So if it was closed and it was a positive trade, you will get green here. If it's closed and it's a losing trade, you'll get red. Let's just make a little losing trade here real quick. Again, we'll just use some random. Let's say we bought CCJ, 500 shares at, I don't know, $50. Open the trade, sure, and then we'll close it. So you can see CCJ show up here, and then let's say we sold those 500 shares on Friday. let's say we lost money on, let's say they sold for $40. We will close the trade, yes, just say confirm trade. So now we can see that dark red again show up. We go to our statistics here, and so now you can see a winning trade, a losing trade. That is really random that these both turned out to be $5,000. I did not plan for this to be zero realized gain loss. That's very interesting. Let's actually change that just so you can see. Let's say we actually sold this at, I don't know, $42. That is really, can't believe that happened. Okay, so now we made a little money, and these will change to red and green depending on whether you win or loss, win loss. And then the blue ones are just trades that are still open. There's no realized gain, but it will show you the unrealized gain. So it's bringing in whatever gain loss you have on your open positions, of course, is your unrealized gain. Realized would be for your closed positions. This, I think, for any trading system or investing system is really where the rubber meets the road. You know, most trading systems that I know of, you're going to lose more than you're going to win. It's kind of like a game of baseball, right? Like, what's your batting average? But what matters is, are we winning more? When we win, are we winning more than we lose? So the two most powerful things in here would be the win-loss rate. So here it's just 50-50, but I'm winning more than I'm losing. Not by much. This could definitely be a better factor here, but you know, let's say we're only losing, and this is the impact on the portfolio. So how much of the portfolio is being impacted when I win and what percent is being impacted when I lose. So I'm losing 0.4% of my portfolio every time I lose. I'm gaining 0.5% every time I win. I prefer to see something more like a 3-to-1 ratio here because that gives you a lot of leeway to lose a lot more than you win and still come out very profitable. The average win percent shows this doesn't take the dollar amount into account. So it just shows like this could be a $10,000 position or a $100,000 position. Either way, this percent will be the same on the gain or the loss. The average dollar win, of course, takes the dollar amount into consideration. And that's how these are basically calculated against whatever value of portfolio you have. So for this example, I put $1 million as the starting value. So that's how trade statistics works. Another cool thing is, and this is what I really like about it, is you can go back and it packages each trade together. So one of the problems with my Excel tracking, right, you have this long list of transactions on the ledger, but like for every trade, I have to go back and manually, and especially if I buy and sell the same stock in two separate grouped trades, let's say this one was closed out in May, and then I don't know, in July, I buy SMCI again, do a bunch of transactions and close that trade out. I consider this trade and that one in July two very separate trades. It's not very easy in Excel to just go in and like package all the data together very simply. This is all done for you automatically. And I can go here and I can look back then and say, and put this up against a chart of SMCI, take a look at what the market was doing and say like, should I have bought this here? Like, should I have added here? Was it smart to trim here? Forget what the market actually did, but like the way the stock was set up and what was going on, I can go back and go bar by bar by bar on a chart and see like if this was the right course of action were I to do it again. And it's a great way to improve, at least I know for me, my trading process. I can go back and look at my wins, my losses, and see how it could improve over time. So this is huge for me. This hold, nothing goes here. I think I might add something here eventually, but you can see the average open price, paid, close price, and all the calculations here. So that's a really cool feature, I think. And then you can go back here and you're back here. And then again, look at the current portfolio. We can do the same thing here. There's not much to see, but let's say it was the SMCI trade and it was still open. It's cool because it will give you your average price paid, how many shares you currently own, what your open cost is, and all the other statistics that might be important to you. I want to show one last thing for a couple minutes. So I like to have, at night, I like to put together all my trades I'm going to do for tomorrow. And then that way, when I wake up in the morning, there's no like emotional baggage of what's happening. Like I did all my work when the markets were closed. When the market's open, I execute on my trades if the trades, trigger. So what we can do here is a to-do. And right now it's empty, but let's add a simple to-do. And it looks very similar to the add a trade sheet. So let's say tomorrow is Monday, and let's say I'm going to initiate a new position in, let's say Apple. And I'm going to buy 100 shares of Apple. I think it's around 180 right now. Let's just say it's 180. I do like to know if I need to update a stop loss in the morning. So you can trigger this as yes if we're talking about selling a stock, but I don't do a ton of that. But I thought it's a nice little added feature. Why am I going to buy it? I don't know. Maybe it had an inverse head and shoulders and it's about to break out of that, and it will be a new trade. So I add my to do. I'm going to add one more. Let's say we think that oil is turning around. So we'll do FANG. We're going to buy 500 shares of FANG or Diamondback Energy at, gosh, I think this is like around 150 maybe. Let's say first touch of the 10 week. Sure, coming out of there, open a new trade. Okay, so now we have two trades here, and let's see what this shows us. So this shows us the day we want to do it, which is tomorrow. And this is persistent data, right? Because it's in the database. So let's say they don't trigger tomorrow. I can just go back in. I can easily edit and change it to May 7th. That's not a big deal. Very simple to do. I'm going to buy Apple at 180. This distance tells me how far I am away from this trade. So the stock would have to go down 1.87% for this trade to actually trigger. So technically this wouldn't be a breakout. I put the stock too low of a price. Well, let's edit it. Let's make it so it's actually a, well, it's fine. I'll just leave it for now. You can see what the total value is, what the shares is, and it makes it easy because now I can just go into my trading platform and say, okay, I want to buy, this would be, if it's a breakout pattern, it'd be, a stop order, a buy stop order. You could do a buy stop limit, however you want to do it. I'm going to do 100 shares at $180. And that's it. And so what these buttons do then, and the way I like to look at it, because sometimes if there's a lot going on, could be 10 total trades I'm kind of tracking. I won't take them all, but just so I don't have to change them all the time. I can say this one's urgent. This one, I would never have this on my trade sheet, but this is 34% away from triggering. So let's say that is a little bit smaller of a number, but for this case, I wouldn't put that as urgent. So I can change things to be urgent or not urgent. I can also say now I've entered. So now I've gone into my trading platform. I've put a stop limit order or a buy stop order in for 100 shares at $180. That's been entered. Might not trigger, but it's now the limit orders and the stop orders and all the different orders I put in are already in the system. And so I basically know if I go through in the morning and I'm like, okay, everything's been entered, everything's yellow, I'm good to go. And then the really cool thing here, and what makes this really a great way to just persist your trade across, what I like about it is it forces me to answer, why am I buying this stock or why am I selling this stock? I don't just make it up, right? And then what I can do is I can say, all right, let's say Apple triggers tomorrow morning or whenever tomorrow. We can execute it. Now, rarely do you get the exact, maybe on a stock like Apple because it's so liquid, but rarely you're going to get the exact price you wanted. So let's say, when I click execute, it takes me to the add trade sheet. And let's say I actually paid 181, I don't know, 90. That would be a little crazy, but let's just say that's what happened. I can change that. Or maybe I put one of these in here, I can change it, but you don't have to do anything else. You add trade and boom, Apple is here. This trade will now flow through the entire application, filling out all the statistics for you. There's no need to change, again, unless you made a mistake and need to edit that. There is nothing else to do except track and see how well your trading's going. So, and then on your dashboard here, what this shows you, so let's say you've logged in for the day, this shows you your current portfolio and some relevant statistics for your entire portfolio, not just the open positions, but it shows your open positions here. You can add a trade, go to your trade ledger. It shows you your to-dos here. So let's turn these off. Let's say, so I wake up in the morning, I turn my thing on. Okay, I need to take care of this Apple trade. I put the trade in. You will need to delete the to-do. So once I've entered Apple, I do have to delete it, but it's that simple to delete. I like that because in case you do the add trade by accident, I think it's easier to just go hit delete than add the trade and then it's deleted already and you're shoot, I didn't really take that trade, I messed up. I want to make it the path of least resistance for everything here. So that's basically, and again, you can edit this. If I wanted to change, this was actually meant to be 120, maybe it was closer to the price. I can update the to-do. Oh, wait. My math was way off on that one. There we go. That puts it closer. You can do that as well. So, and again, you can change these here. And then the one last thing I do want to add, and I'm excited about, is an equity curve. There's nothing here now, but I do track my equity curve. The problem is I can't have this automatically up. You'd have to do it manually every day to chart your equity curve. until I have this deployed on AWS. So next steps for me are to put this, I'm going to use something like Next.js um, on the front end, and then probably something like Nest on the back end. I might switch from MongoDB to SQL, like MySQL or something. I'm not sure. I'm still kind of whiteboarding how to do all that. But I'm going to make this production ready and deploy it on AWS and make it really secure so people can actually just log in and don't need to mess with all the VS Code and all that kind of stuff. But I hope this was really helpful. I have found this, it's always been good for me to track the statistics, but it took me a while to get all my Excel stuff into here. But once it's in here, it is so simple to just have your to-do sheet for the day. If you execute, you hit execute, you add the trade, and there is nothing else you need to do. I actually found a lot of, not a lot, but a few couple errors in my Excel sheet that I had put into Excel incorrectly, and I found them just by filling this sheet out. So none of them are major, but it's still really helpful, and it's good to know that all the data persistence, I don't have to mess with any mistakes being made. All I have to do is check my ledger, once a week against my trading platform and make sure that these numbers all jive together, and I'm pretty good to go. So I hope this is helpful. I hope maybe you get a chance to use the Smart Trader application. I'm really excited about making this more production ready and easy for people to use. But for now, hopefully I can get some feedback and see what people would have me change. That's all I've got. So thanks for watching.